Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores. First of all, big things coming real soon. Y'all will see. Merch, rebranding with a new logo and everything. I'm about to deploy the membership feature, and I'm gonna break it all down in a video once everything comes out. I'm gonna do a video on merch, memberships, the different levels, how much you pay per month, what you get at each level, all that type of stuff later. But just wanted to give y'all a heads up to just watch out for that. But today I just wanted to give y'all a general Redskins and a little NFL report. Big update on Rueben Foster. Scott Turner gives big updates on who may start at left tackle, Dwayne Haskins' development, what role Adrian Peterson may have in the offense, and is Antonio Brown a real option for the Redskins? Boy, I know that's setting the internet on a frenzy right now. You already have Jalen Ramsey setting Redskins social media ablaze, and then here comes Antonio Brown. But we're about to get into everything. I'm so excited about these next few projects that I'm working on that are about to come out soon. Y'all will see, man. Y'all gonna see that your boy Rico is not playing out here. But let's go ahead and get into this video. Let's get it. Alright, so first of all, I wanted to talk about Rueben Foster. That's the most exciting news of the past week or 2 weeks for me, man. Jack Del Rio was recently interviewed and had a lot of interesting things to say. Most notably for me, Rueben Foster. He said that virtually, Rueben Foster has been doing very well with the meetings and the playbook and the defensive schemes and all of that. And it's literally just up to whether or not he'll be medically cleared or not. But the part that I love the most is that he said, we've approached it as if he'll be there. So I'm not exactly sure how much to take from that and how optimistic to be from it, but it definitely can't be too dark if they're literally planning their defense and formulating their playbook and their defensive schemes, their formations, and having Zoom film session and all of these virtual meetings centered around Rueben Foster projecting to be a starting linebacker for the Redskins. And I can go on and on for a long time about how much Rueben Foster being fully healthy and starting for our defense, for me preferably at will linebacker, can take this defense to another level. It's a great, very close argument about who our best defensive player on defense would be if Rueben Foster is healthy. I can see a side with Chase Young, which is the side I'm on, and then I could definitely see a side where people say Rueben Foster is our best defensive player. I definitely think it's a two-headed race just between them, and then it's the other guys. And there's a lot of great talent everywhere on the defense. As far as best defensive player on our roster when healthy, is definitely between Chase Young and Rueben Foster, easily. And having him at linebacker is just unfair for the rest of the NFC East. He was playing at an all-pro level before he got into all of that trouble with the 49ers, and then we ended up getting him for free. And then he fought all the way back to return from injury, and then like the beginning of OTAs or training camp or whatever it was, he got hurt for the rest of the year. Immediately to IR. Didn't get to play any preseason, any regular season, anything. And now he's working to come back from that. Remember, he tore his ACL, MCL, ACL. It was like a handful of things that all happened to his knee. So he's been sprinting. I've even heard that he's been riding his bike to facilities. He's been running on the treadmill. So things don't look too dark, but regular life and running level of health is different from NFL level health, because you got to be ready to take a helmet to the knee and things like that. He's able to function in everyday life, move and everything, and run, even though he just recently regained feeling in his foot. So I don't know how he's already running, but apparently he's running and riding bikes like it's nothing. So we just have to see him get back into football shape and football level durability before we can get too excited. But the fact that Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera are moving forward as if Rueben Foster will be there for us 2019 is big news, and some of the best news I've heard in the past few weeks, maybe even months. And of course, Jack Del Rio has some other interesting things to say, like most notably talking about Chase Young and breaking down how excited he is to have him and what impact he may have. While talking about Chase Young, he basically broke down how all of the coaches have been doing a great job working together to create this new and improved defense, like the mental and playbook side of it, virtually, and finding a way to get players to learn it virtually. He feels like everybody's come together and done a great job of creating a virtual program to catch everybody up on the defense that they plan on running, even though they can't do it in person. And he said that Chase Young has been doing everything they've asked, and he can't wait to see him on the field. He also said that he's watched enough tape on Chase Young to know that he's going to be a great player. And this is coming from the guy that's worked with Julius Peppers, Von Miller, and Khalil Mack. He basically said he gets a lot of the same vibes he got from those guys with Chase Young, except just younger and possibly even more athletic. He also went on to big up a few guys. Like, he said that the Redskins are excited about Ryan Anderson getting more opportunities. He said there will be fierce competition in the linebacker group, but he's excited about Ryan Anderson. And I can definitely understand why. Because Ryan Anderson looked like a menace for like 2-3 games. Right after Ryan Kerrigan got hurt and Ryan Anderson had to start, he was going crazy. I mean, pass rush was consistent, vastly improved. His coverage ability vastly improved. I mean, he was covering tight ends very well, very consistently. And pass rush wise, he ended the 2019 season tied for the most forced fumbles out of the entire NFL, and he only started like 2-3 games. Ryan Kerrigan got hurt, and then Ryan Anderson started a couple of games, and then he got hurt. And in that very small sample size, and those very limited snaps, in that very small amount of tape that he was able to put up in 2019, he was able to be tied for forced fumbles in the entire NFL. I don't know how y'all don't look at that and don't get excited. And like I said, it's not just his pass rush ability and edge setting that's vastly improved, and it makes him look like he's finally deserving of that second round pick, maybe even a first round pick. But it's the fact that he also learned how to cover tight ends very well towards the end of last season, which sounds like the perfect Sam linebacker in Jack Del Rio's 4-3. So I'm very excited about Ryan Anderson's potential. Jack Del Rio also went on to say that the Redskins have an interesting mix at linebacker, and he went on to mention Thomas Davis and Cole Holcomb immediately. But the guy, me personally, that I'm most excited about is Diaw Hamilton. His block shedding is ahead of Cole Holcomb's. His IQ is far ahead of Cole Holcomb's. And his coverage ability is also far ahead of Cole Holcomb's. I think Pro Football Focus graded him a top 3 linebacker in coverage out of all of the linebackers in the NFL. I think he was top 3 graded by Pro Football Focus. His coverage ability is crazy. And being able to be that versatile with having the instincts and the block shedding and the solid tackling to be a dominant and disruptive force against the run, and to also be a disruptive force in the passing game. I mean, his traits all scream out starting Mike linebacker of the future for the Redskins. He looked great last season in the opportunities that he was able to get. He definitely, out of all of the guys we had last year, including Cole Holcomb, John Bostic, and him, I definitely like Diaw Hamilton the most. Now, I'm not down on Cole Holcomb. Cole Holcomb's potential is ridiculous. I mean, his sideline to sideline speed is crazy, and the proof is in the pudding. I mean, he led all rookies last season in tackles, regardless of position. He would have had the most tackles on our team if it wasn't for Landon Collins, who was able to be a Pro Bowl alternate. So the potential is definitely there as long as he just works on his block shedding and he's able to improve his coverage a lot. He could be a Pro Bowl level linebacker for us. He just has a lot of things to work on. The reason I like Diaw Hamilton better is that not only does he have potential to also grow like Cole Holcomb, but he already has a lot of great traits to where you can start him week 1 and expect him to do very well. And also, his level of instincts and IQ just don't come around often. And even though I feel like Cole Holcomb will improve mentally, I don't think he'll ever be at the level of a Diaw Hamilton. I mean, when Diaw Hamilton left Alabama, Nick Saban publicly said in several occasions how much he'll miss Diaw Hamilton and how special he is, because somebody with that high of an IQ just doesn't come around often. I mean, Nick Saban called him the on-field coach, and when Diaw Hamilton left, Nick Saban basically said it's been hard to even find somebody that could bring that level of IQ to his defense. I mean, he's always going to have athletic freaks recruiting at Alabama, like Rueben Foster, Ryan Anderson, and all of those type of guys, and Rashaan Evans, and all of those type of guys. But only once in a blue moon do you find a linebacker with that level of instincts and IQ, especially so young in college, with just a natural given gift of being able to diagnose offenses and react quickly. Because a lot of linebacker isn't just athleticism. I mean, Sean Lee of the Cowboys, when healthy, is a great linebacker, and he's not athletic at all. He's just able to diagnose plays and disrupt them sooner than most linebackers can. Diaw Hamilton has the potential to have that high level of IQ along with more athleticism. So I don't know why Jack Del Rio didn't mention Diaw Hamilton, but I'm going to all of the time. He's my biggest candidate for breakout player on this team. I mean, I'm also ready for Steven Sims to blow up. I'm very excited about Jimmy Moreland. And then, of course, a lot of the receivers, a lot of the defensive linemen. But Shondae Hamilton is definitely my personal biggest sleeper on this team. But I can definitely see why he spoke highly of Thomas Davis with his veteran leadership. And he still looks really good even for his age when he played for the Chargers last season. And he was an all-pro back in Carolina. And for him to even be able to be 90 or 80% of that is big for our defense. And then, of course, Cole Holcomb is the guy with the speed that you just can't teach at linebacker. So I definitely see why he spoke highly of those guys, but he definitely should have mentioned Shondae Hamilton in that group. Another guy that Del Rio seemed high on was the potential of Kevin Pierre-Louis, who, just like his other Bears brother that we picked up, Cornelius Lucas, our swing tackle, both of them showed a lot of potential in the opportunities they got from the Bears. Kevin Pierre-Louis got even less opportunities than Cornelius Lucas, but when the Bears finally called his number, he went out there and performed very well. He looked solid in coverage, he looked solid in the run game, he looked like he had good instincts, he's very athletic, so there's always potential to grow for him. And Jack Del Rio said that Kevin Pierre-Louis has been under the radar, but played well when given the chance last year for the Bears. So that's another name to keep an eye on. I mean, this linebacker group is very crowded. You can't forget about Josh Harvey Clemens. And then you can't forget John Bostic, who's pretty solid at everything. I don't love John Bostic, but he's definitely a great depth piece that can fill in at pretty much any linebacker role you may need him to play at. He's not our best Will linebacker, he's not our best Mike linebacker, and he's not our best Sam linebacker, but I feel like he could fill in for any of those roles if there's like a drastic injury. I don't feel like he's going to excel at any of those roles because he's truly a 3-4 inside linebacker. And he doesn't exactly have a role that he's very good at, but he's kind of a jack of all trades is basically what I'm trying to get at. And he provides some solid depth. So this linebacker group is very crowded. I'm not even sure who's going to make the roster because Khaleke Hudson, the safety linebacker hybrid we just drafted, is so versatile and can even play a little corner. It's going to be hard for him not to at least make the team, especially with him being such a great special teams player. And not just in special teams coverage, but he has a knack to block punts for some odd reason. I don't know how you find a way to learn how to do that, and I don't know how we even found a way to draft that, because that's such a specific skill to be great at, and that could change games for us. So that's another linebacker spot being taken up by somebody that young with potential. Jack Del Rio also has some general comments about the defense. Like, first of all, he basically asked all of the players that were here from last year, what were the problems? Like, why was the defense underperforming so much? And basically the answers were that there were a lot of communication issues. And now, because of that, it is a priority of Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio, to make sure they eliminate those communication issues. That's like one of their biggest priorities, to make the defense as simple, as easy to understand, and as easy to communicate in and as possible. So players aren't spending too much time being reactive, they can be proactive. They can know their roles, know what to do in certain situations, and just go do it without having to sit around and think. Or a lot of those issues where we were having players yelling at each other, telling them to go, like one player telling another guy, you're supposed to be over there, or make sure you check that, and then the other guy's confused or whatever. We've had so many offenses have big runs and big passing plays on us just simply because of communication mistakes. And Del Rio has basically said that all of the defensive coaches on the Redskins right now have made it a priority to eliminate any of those issues going forward. Also, what I really like is that even though Del Rio has had so much success in the past as a defensive coordinator and a defensive-minded coach, he's not coming in and just forcing guys to just take his playbook and his word is the only word and that's it. He's basically said that this is a collaborative effort. He's taking input from players, other coaches, and they're gonna come together as a collaboration, as an involved effort, and come up with the best defensive playbook, formation, scheme that they can possibly come up with together. It's not just Jack Del Rio's defense, it's everybody's defense. And another thing that I love that he said is that no player automatically has a starting spot or a big role in the defense. He said that those who perform the best will play the most. It's that simple. It's a fresh start for everybody. It doesn't matter if you've been here for 5 years. It doesn't matter if you just got drafted. It doesn't matter if you're an undrafted free agent. Everybody has an equal opportunity to earn a big role, a starting role on this defense. It is free competition, position battles everywhere. Everybody has to earn their role. And I love that. No sense of entitlement, no nothing. I mean, the culture of this team is just vastly different with Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera just being here, just them alone. Also, like I've been saying for a while, Jack Del Rio went on to say that switching from a 3-4 to 4-3 won't even be that difficult. We already have a lot of personnel that are better suited for the 4-3 anyway, especially linebacker and defensive line wise, which is what matters most. Ryan Kerrigan should have been a 4-3 defensive end. Chase Young and Montez Sweat are definitely better built as 4-3 defensive ends than 3-4 outside linebackers. And he also said, most importantly, that the Redskins D-line will get away from gap scheme and will be more aggressive at the line of scrimmage. So previously in the 3-4-2 gap scheme that the defensive linemen like Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis, Daron Payne, and Tim Settle had to play in, it required them to basically just eat up blocks, take up space, and let the linebackers behind them make plays. No, with this new 4-3 defense, like I've been talking about for the past few months, they will now be asked to attack, penetrate, do whatever you can to get in the backfield and disrupt plays on your own. Don't just be a big refrigerator in the way now. Go and make plays yourself. Go get the quarterback. Go get the running back. It's up to you to go do it. The linebackers are now tasked with split responsibilities with run stopping and coverage. And they'll be covering a lot. So it's up to the defensive line to usually go and get all of the pressure, to go and make all of the stops in the backfield with very minimal blitzing from the linebackers. So expect to see Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis, Daron Payne, and Tim Settle to have career years, especially statistically. Because now they're not asked to just get in the way. They're asked to go hunt down whoever has the ball. And I'm so excited to see that. We can finally see Jonathan Allen reach that potential we felt he's had this whole time. And Matt Ioannidis may finally be able to get double-digit sacks. And before I leave Jack Del Rio, he also went on to say that he wants the Redskins to bring back the all-white uniform. So you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If Jack Del Rio says it, you know what I'm saying, Dan Snyder, you need to listen, because us fans have been saying it for a while. But now that Jack Del Rio has publicly said it, maybe Dan Snyder will listen a little bit more. Maybe he'll finally consider it, because we definitely need to bring those back. Those all whites back from the Santana Moss days are clean. And if you haven't, go check out my 2 videos discussing Redskins jersey concepts and ideas from the past, and some new ones that haven't even existed yet that people have made all over the internet. I just look them over, review them all, talk about which ones I like, which ones I don't like, and why, all that type of stuff. So make sure y'all check those out if you haven't already. Now moving on to the offensive side of things. Biggest thing from Scott Turner was that he said, quote, "In every meeting we do some quizzes just to test their retention. When we're talking to Haskins, he is speaking the language. It's pretty easy to tell if they get it or not. He's doing a great job. You can tell he's putting the work in away from the meeting time." Which has me all types of optimistic, because the physical tools are there for Dwayne Haskins. And if he didn't already have a lot of physical potential, now with him losing 7% body fat and turning a lot of his fat into muscle, which will not only make him more mobile, but also more durable. And then he already has top 7 arm strength in the league, so his arm potential is crazy. But now, from Scott Turner himself, our offensive coordinator, who in the past said that Dwayne Haskins wasn't there mentally yet when he first was hired, and said that he wanted more out of Dwayne Haskins, now has said that Dwayne Haskins is doing a great job. You can tell he's putting in the work. I mean, they meet every day for a few hours to talk playbook and all of that type of stuff, everything that they will basically be going over in team meetings and film sessions. But he's even going the extra mile outside of those hours to put in the work. And not just on the field, because we've seen him working with Darius Geis and Terry McLaurin and Kelvin Harmon for the past few months on the field, throwing passes and all that type of stuff. But then he's also putting in the work to learn the playbook and to learn all of the mental aspects of the quarterback position, which matters the most. And I'm very excited, especially to hear from Scott Turner himself, who was pretty down on Dwayne Haskins originally a few months ago, but now he's very high on him. So you can tell Scott Turner's being very honest with his critiques, because he didn't just come in when he was first hired and say Dwayne Haskins is putting in work mentally, even though he wasn't. No, he came out and flat out said that Dwayne Haskins is not at where we want him to be, not only just mentally, but work ethic wise. Now Dwayne Haskins has the work ethic, has the mental processing and everything, and he's only going to get better and better. And that's fantastic news. That's probably the biggest news of this video, just off of the fact that no matter how talented the rest of the team is, the fate of this franchise is going to rest on Dwayne Haskins' shoulders mostly. He said that Dwayne Haskins is doing things the way he's supposed to, and I'm excited. I doubt Kyle Allen's going to start week 1 anyway, but now after these past few weeks with Dwayne Haskins progressing mightily in work ethic, mental processing, learning the quarterback position, learning the offense, learning the playbook, and his huge progression physically, I just don't see a scenario where Dwayne Haskins doesn't start week 1 and isn't immediately our franchise quarterback going forward. Also offensively, Scott Turner went on to say that Adrian Peterson will in fact have a role as a 2-down back in this offense. So even with Bryce Love, Darius Geis, and Antonio Gibson fully healthy and ready to go, Adrian Peterson will still find some type of role as a 2-down back, which makes sense because he's not a great receiving back, but he's very durable. You can expect him to play a full 16 games. You can expect him to get a full 1,000 yards out of that season. He more than likely won't this season, especially if Bryce Love, Antonio Gibson, and Darius Geis all stay healthy, but he has the potential to. He's a very dependable 2-down back. And I'm excited to hear that he will still have a role on this team, which clarifies that he definitely will make the roster. I already felt like he was more than likely going to make the roster, but now this solidifies that. And Antonio Gibson, I mean, the role he'll play, you can have Adrian Peterson on the field and Antonio Gibson at the same time. So it's really just a matter of how many snaps Darius Geis and Bryce Love will take away from Adrian Peterson any given game. And then left tackle wise, Turner basically admitted that he doesn't know who will replace Trent Williams at left tackle yet. He said Jerron Christian, who I'm not high on at all, and 4th round rookie Sadiq Charles, who we just drafted out of LSU, who I'm very high on, but just not very high on him week 1 wise because he has some development to do. He has to improve his hand technique mightily. He has to gain strength and muscle. So him starting week 1 is a little dark for me, but so far those are our 2 leading candidates to start at left tackle. And Scott Turner sounded excited about that left tackle battle between those two, but me personally, I would love to bring in somebody like a Jason Peters or a Donald Penn to hold down the starting left tackle role for a little bit so that we're not just getting Dwayne Haskins killed out there while Sadiq Charles develops as a player. Because Sadiq Charles has Pro Bowl left tackle type of potential. In my opinion, he was the 5th best offensive tackle in this draft class. It was the first 4 guys to win in the first round, and then Sadiq Charles, for me, the 7 other guys drafted in between, I feel like Sadiq Charles definitely has more potential than those guys. I mean, you just can't teach the mobility he has. And at the end of the day, he was the starting left tackle for LSU, who was the best offense in college football history. And he was not only playing against SEC defensive linemen who are the best of the best, but he also played against great talent in the playoffs. I mean, because even out of the SEC, he had to block against Oklahoma and Clemson defenses. And if that isn't a huge star on your resume, I don't know what is. Now, like I said, admittingly, he needs to improve his hand technique. He has a strong punch, but he needs to learn how to place it better and time it better. And once he's able to do that, he's going to be a monster, especially after he's able to add some strength. I don't feel like you can just replace Trent Williams with another Trent Williams because Trent Williams just doesn't come around often. He, talent and potential-wise, when healthy, is arguably the best left tackle doing it in football. So it's hard to say Sadiq Charles will be that. But he definitely has Pro Bowl talent and can definitely keep Dwayne Haskins clean for many years to come and make us not miss Trent Williams. And now for a little controversy. You know, there's this video going around of Dwayne Haskins throwing to Antonio Brown, which I'm not surprised about because he did this last year offseason in 2019. So that's just something he does. He just works out with big names like Antonio Brown and Chad Ochocinco and all of those guys. So I'm not surprised, but of course it sent Redskins social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that into a frenzy. And everybody on one side, they would love to bring in Antonio Brown, give him a chance on a cheap deal. The other side is like, no, don't bring Antonio Brown anywhere near this organization. Don't even bring that cancer. So I mostly just want to see how y'all feel in the comments about the situation. So definitely make sure y'all get in the comments and let me know how y'all feel about Antonio Brown possibly coming to the Redskins. I mean, because when healthy and when not crazy and acting out, he's easily a top 3 wide receiver in this league, arguably the best wide receiver in this league. I mean, his talent is unmatched, and he will be a big boost to this offense, especially immediately with our receiving group being so young and inexperienced. We may have some bumps in the road in the beginning. Antonio Brown would come in and take away those early growing pains and allow the other receivers to develop comfortably and not being forced into major roles too early. But at the same time, he would stifle the development of a lot of guys. I mean, with him in the game, even though Terry McLaurin is already great, Antonio Brown will get a lot of looks, a lot of receptions, a lot of targets, and that would take away from Antonio Gandy-Golden, who I believe will be great, Kelvin Harmon, who I also believe will be great, Steven Sims, who I see as a breakout player in the slot, going to be one of the best slot receivers in the league. Steven Sims has a lot of potential in the slot. And then you have Terry McLaurin, and that's just a lot of mouths to feed. And then also, of course, you have his off-field and on-field antics. So do we really want to bring a distraction to the team? Me personally, I'm so torn between the two because I love talent. And I always feel like there's a way that you can control a guy, especially with Ron Rivera, who's not only a player's coach that can talk to players personally and really connect with them on a personal level and gain their trust, but then he's also a huge disciplinarian. He is not Jay Gruden at all. He forces hard work, accountability, responsibility, holding each other accountable, hard practices, hard hitting practices, the type of practices that DJ Swearinger was begging Jay Gruden for. I mean, he instills a culture that just gets everybody to rally behind him and believe in them, believe in each other, a great locker room, a team that's one and unified and will do anything for each other. And I feel like Antonio Brown, if there is a locker room that could get that out of him, it may be us. But at the same time, Antonio Brown kind of looks like a lost cause, and it looks like maybe nobody can get that man to just calm down and act right. But man, just think about it. If we could, how huge of a boost that would be to our offense and to Dwayne Haskins' development. To have somebody that you can always depend on being healthy and making tough catches would increase Dwayne Haskins' confidence and comfortability tenfold and would basically multiply his developmental speed. And then we can have ourselves the franchise quarterback we've been waiting on for all kinds of years, since we were winning Super Bowls way quicker than we expected, just off of the fact that Dwayne Haskins has the league's best safety blanket at his disposal. And then at the same time, you won't be able to double team Terry McLaurin because you're not about to just single cover Antonio Brown. But at the same time, I definitely see how everybody feels about just don't even bring somebody like that to our team and bring a huge distraction. So I'm very torn between the two, but I am very interested to see how y'all feel in the comments. I know it's gonna be a lot of y'all that feel strongly one way and feel strongly the other way, but I'm very interested in seeing how y'all feel about it. Also, I don't like that footage because Dwayne Haskins underthrew Antonio Brown a couple of times in that footage, so I'm not too excited about that footage like a lot of people are. I'm gonna need Dwayne Haskins to look better on camera, man. And then in random NFL news, just to throw it in this video just because I'm already just talking football, the NFL owners have voted to eliminate the loophole which allows teams to manipulate the game clock by committing multiple dead ball fouls while the clock is running. Basically what the Patriots did late last season, and then what the Titans did to the Patriots in the playoffs, where they were committing a whole bunch of dead ball fouls, which allowed them to keep the clock running without having to take a knee or something. They were just basically like, we'll just take these yards from this penalty and keep the clock running, and then the other team just can't do anything about it. You're out of timeouts. So the NFL owners voted to eliminate that, so no more of that, which is kind of sad because the Redskins never got a chance to abuse it yet, but now it's gone. At least we never had it abused against us. Also, something that's actually pretty important and something that people really need to make sure they know about is that teams can now designate 3 players to return from injured reserve, not just 2. The limit was 2 previously. You could only bring back 2 players from injured reserve. Now you can bring back 3. And that's actually pretty big, especially for us who is definitely on the end of teams that have the most injured players consistently. Hopefully we turn that around with a new training staff, new head trainer, and Kevin Wilkes, who Dan Snyder hired as a medical advisor. But that is very interesting that you can bring back 3 guys from injured reserve now. That's huge news. And that's the end of this Redskins report, kind of NFL report too, with that little bit at the end. Just wanted to talk about various topics. And also, like I said, stay tuned for big news. I'm going to come out with a video explaining everything with the merch, the new logo, the rebranding, new intro, the membership levels, and how much you have to pay per month to get each level and what you get with each level. I mean, it's including the Discord group that I'm going to have, because y'all know I'm terrible with phones. And if you hit me up on Twitter, I may not reply for like a week. But with the Discord group, you'll have my full attention every day. You'll get immediate replies. You'll be able to suggest videos. And there's all kinds of secret stuff I don't want to reveal yet, because I want to include it all in that video. But just to give y'all a sneak peek, those are some of the features you'll get, along with special gifts and stuff that you'll be able to post in the live streams that only members will have access to. And of course, the higher membership you are, you also have the perks of the other memberships. So if you're tier 1, you only have tier 1 things. If you're tier 2, you also get what tier 1 has plus what tier 2 has, and so on and so forth. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that, and make sure y'all subscribe. Definitely subscribe if you haven't, for more content all kinds of plans and videos coming out. I'm still working on the Air Coryell offense. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but it's just so much other stuff going on along with that. And plus I want to make sure that video comes out right. I don't want to just give y'all just a here type of video, just here, take it. I want to make sure I break it down just like I did with my 4-3 video and give y'all the best Air Coryell offense breakdown I possibly can. Graphics, explanations, notes, film study, all of that. And definitely make sure y'all hit that bell next to the subscribe button so you get a notification every time I do something. That way you don't miss a live stream, you don't miss a video that comes out, all of that type of stuff. And of course, make sure you like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please get in them comments and let me know how you feel about the various topics, especially about Antonio Brown possibly coming to the Redskins. And I appreciate all of the support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.